Welcome to this edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. We're in the middle of a much needed break from severe weather. I'll review the April tornado pattern and take a look at a few other statistics regarding tornadoes so far this season. The real severe weather's chance to start up again mildly on Wednesday, but get pretty intense starting on Thursday, going through Friday, and probably through the weekend, and maybe into early next week as well. I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. Let's dive in. We are in a severe weather lull right now, today, Monday, Tuesday, a little bit of Wednesday, maybe some severe storms in the high plains, but pretty quiet for a while. A good time to review some of the stats. This is a look at April tornadoes. I have two slides for this, but the majority of them have formed in Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, especially central and northern Illinois. Southern Michigan hit pretty hard. These are the intensities here. These are EF3s in orange, and these were recent here just on Friday with these here occurring as far north as, northern Wisconsin. Pretty interesting. And we had a couple of EF2s near Rochester. Also one in northwestern Illinois and a small one down there in west central Illinois. These are probably about 3 outbreaks total that contributed to all this. And it's only April. There was a huge outbreak of tornadoes in March here around the Kankakee area too. That's not on this map. And then just down to the south a little bit, just a smattering of tornado reports in central Missouri. The weird one was a week ago. That is all of these right here. Including Ottawa, Kansas, and that was a really bizarre outbreak because those tornadoes occurred and they were pretty intense in an area that really wasn't even under any kind of significant tornado risk or even severe thunderstorm risk for that matter. Just goes to show you that, if you can get the right conditional setup, that, it's like a trigger mechanism. Yes, if something does form, it'll be pretty bad, but what's the probability of it forming? And it just wasn't that high. But if it did happen, it was going to be pretty good. That was a description of that particular tornado outbreak. So if we look at the nation now for the year, we're at 420, and we had gone up here right at the beginning of March, substantially above the curve. And now we're back pretty much on the annual trend curve, which is right here. So through April 18th, by the way, that's this data, you should have about 371. So we're just a little bit ahead of that at 420. So now let's take a look. We have to skip to Wednesday to find the first hint of severe weather thunderstorm risk. And this is the marginal risk, the lowest of the 5. And it pretty much covers the high plains of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, a little bit of the panhandle there as well. Not much of a tornado risk, but CSU's highlighting a little bit there, and the Sandhills in western Nebraska. Wind and hail, not tremendously high probabilities. What's happening here is we do have this little short wave coming into the Great Plains. This is the 500 mean flow from the EPS on Wednesday, and the upper level winds are just beginning to infringe upon this outlook area right here by midday Wednesday. And moisture, which really kind of equates to instability, is trying to return to this area. And because of both of these kind of timing and meager moisture instability parameters, that's why it's really not been raised to a higher stake level. But there's room for that to be adjusted, of course, as we get closer to Wednesday. Now, on Thursday, we do have this large severe weather risk from Iowa once again, Missouri once again, Kansas, and down into Oklahoma. This is a 15% risk of any severe weather within a 25-mile radius on Thursday. The CSU Learning Machine has a pretty good risk of severe weather there from right around Wichita southward to almost Oklahoma City, Enid, that area, and then a real broad brush that covers Minnesota, Iowa, by half of Missouri, down through Kansas and Oklahoma as well. And that's how that corresponds to the official SPC Outlook. So the SPC Outlook is in the core of what this is looking at. And I've said this before, this learning machine, this particular model will always put the probabilities higher north than the SPC will go. It's mostly an instability return argument in almost all those cases. Now, the 500 mean flow on Thursday does feature kind of a broken pattern here. We have one little shortwave moving along, but another little speed maximum moving into the plains there. So again, any of this area out ahead of these maximum wind areas is under risk, and by on Thursday, the moisture, which might be a little lacking on Wednesday, will be a little more prevalent out in this area as well. Then skipping ahead to Friday, and this has just been tweaked a little bit since yesterday's outlook. The severe weather outlook for Friday covers southern Missouri, about 2/3 of Arkansas, the western 2/3, Oklahoma, and parts of Texas. I'm in Springfield here, so we're right on the edge of that. And likewise, we're on the edge of the previous days, too. So I'm going to watch this to see how much risk we actually get in southwest Missouri. Northwest Arkansas, yeah, I think on Friday, there's a pretty good chance of that. We have CSU's outlook here, again, pretty much agreeing with and coinciding with the SPC's outlook for that very same day. If we look at the 500 millibar flow forecast for Friday, this is a massive cyclone cutoff in southern Canada. But this area here is the southern jet stream, which is going to be active. So everything from this axis southward that remains unstable is going to be subjected to these stronger upper level winds, which are probably enough to keep supercells held together, which of course is the main thing you need, the main ingredient for even getting a chance at any kind of widespread severe activity. So that's Friday. Here's Saturday. There's no official SPC outlook, but if you read the outlook, they were very, very warm to the idea of having to put future outlooks Saturday, Sunday, or even Monday, but they just can't pin it down. So this is one of the reasons why, because it's a real broad brush area. But notice this area for Saturday looks almost identical to the one for the day before, Friday. So what that implies is that the stable area around that upper level cyclone stays here, but the southern jet keeps this area quite active. And in fact, if you look on Saturday's jet stream forecast, again, this is kind of a cutoff system, but we have another speed max coming around Southern California, Baja, Mexico, Saturday. Will that affect the forecast for Sunday? Yeah, it does. And look at Sunday's forecast. Looks a lot like the day before, and I had to double check to make sure I didn't use the same map. And so we do have this kind of progression Friday through Sunday of several waves interacting with moist, unstable air coming up from the Gulf that will promote severe weather. Again, nothing official out of SPC, but I am sure by tomorrow those will be painted in, at least some of them. And then on Sunday, we still have this cutoff system here in the upper atmosphere, and then this system is beginning to move in a little bit more than the previous day, but kind of stationary. So that's what's the upper level winds causing the supercell. They're basically supercell glue that holds them together in a way that they don't choke themselves off. So that looks pretty predominant. In fact, if you look at NIU's forecast for the next 7 days, the 20th through the 26th, it paints a pretty good picture from Texas up to Missouri and Kansas, highlighting these areas we just showed you. So especially beginning on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's what this is all talking about here. And then we go to the next week, 27th through May 3rd, April 27th through May 3rd. Almost the same, really. There's not a whole lot of difference in these probabilities, maybe a little bit more widespread on the high side. And then if we go to the next week, which is May 4th through the 10th, again, it looks very much the same. The intensity of the probabilities is changing a little bit, favoring South Texas, but the overall pattern is almost identical. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.